Hello and welcome to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Nina Adio, a social media marketing expert specific to the wedding industry. On this show, I discuss tips to help you DIY your social media, as well as getting the confidence and income to outsource it. Thank you for allowing this episode to come through on your Bluetooth, your car radio, wherever it may be you're listening from today. Now, let's take your wedding business to the next level. Hi, guys, and welcome back to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. Happy Wedding Wednesday. It is Nina here, as always, and today I wanted to talk about where I get some content inspiration for my clients from. And I mean beyond the endless scroll, right? You know my scroll. You know the scroll when you're just scrolling on Instagram or TikTok or wherever you scroll and looking for ideas. That is a great way to get content. It sure is. But the other great way is through your sales calls. And for me, as a marketing manager, when I get in on a sales meeting or I get feedback from sales calls and get that information, that really helps and pivots how I'm doing marketing and what I know to use as a hook. So let's talk about your sales calls and how you can be using them to get some content inspiration. First thing that's really helpful for me to hear from clients is actually what objections they get in a sales call, because this helps to pivot around it. Also, what's great to know is while you're in the moment in that sales call, how are you combating that negative? For example, I had a venue, and a lot of my examples are going to be venue examples because I work mostly with venues, but I do work with other vendors too. So I'll try to come up with blanket examples for everybody. But somebody was disappointed that they had less garden space, but because of that, because they didn't have grass and it was all a paved patio, there were less bugs. So that was a way they combated that. Now, I wouldn't do a reel probably being like, hey, we have no bugs, but I would do a reel showcasing the positives about that patio. I would be including photos that show the green space within it, maybe with florals and plants and whatever they have included. I would use that information knowing that that's what we want to promote as a positive. Another example would be another venue example is they are brides who hate carpets. Brides and grooms, everybody. There are people who hate carpets, and the sales team, they know it. They know what people do and don't like. And so when there are certain rooms without carpet, when there's hardwood floors, that's going to be something that you want to then showcase, or you don't want to be having all your photos for the week with carpet because not everybody likes the carpet. So that's an idea, an example of an objection you may be getting and how to work around it in your social media. Probably a common objection that we all see is with pricing. And that's why with social media, we want to be articulating the value of what you do. So let's say you are a baker and you offer cakes. You want to be talking to people who understand the value of a cake and who prioritize it. Your audience isn't going to be the same who just wants, a sheet cake from the supermarket. So you're speaking to different people and you're putting those value propositions in there. You're saying for the couple who wants their cake to align with their wedding theme and be a representation of themselves. For the couple who wants to end their night as beautifully and as delicious as they're starting it with a beautiful cake. Things like that. So bringing the value to your content is going to help, hopefully, combat those pricing objections because we've already attracted the couples with this marketing. Now, another aspect of your sales calls I want you to be thinking about is what are your most frequently asked questions? Chances are If several people are asking these things, it's because it's very important to you. If you are a caterer and a lot of people are asking if you have vegan options, that means it's something important to a lot of people. So creating content that showcases that you have vegan options is going to help attract more people who value that. And it's going to help you align with more couples looking for what you do. Perhaps you're in a more rural area and couples are having a hard time finding somebody who does a particular service to their location. That's where you can do a reel saying couples are shocked to believe there is somebody who does live painting 20 minutes out of Cleveland, whatever. Use these as your inspiration to create. But what the hook is that this is something people are surprised to learn. And then you're putting what you do. And to create those scenarios that you're going to use for your content, you're going to turn to those frequently asked questions that you get from couples on your sales calls. Now I want you to think about was there anything you wish they already knew before they came in? So maybe they came in wanting vegan options and you don't do that. All right? Or maybe they came in for a wedding of 75 people and you don't do that. Whatever it is that you find that is wasting your time and theirs, that stuff you can be marketing. You can pivot it, of course, to be showcasing what you do serve and what you do offer as opposed to what you don't. So let's say you don't do weddings of 75, but you do weddings of 100 and up. You could say, couples are delighted to learn that they can book a wedding at this beautiful Queens venue with just 100 guests. Just because people are looking for less doesn't mean you have to market it as if 100 is too many. You can still market it as if that 100 is a great, intimate wedding that you do. So just think about that. It's all about kind of how you present it. These could be other things too that maybe aren't as marketing focused, but if you find people already have their date booked and are coming in and then you're finding out after the fact you're booked that date too, maybe that's something you could work into your inquiry forms or contact forms. Or I really love, and I've been seeing it more and more in marketing, people being open about the dates they have left, saying, you know, I'm about to make your day. We have an available Saturday in November. Inquire now, first come, first serve. So you have the hook and then you have the offer, which is the date. And it can happen. I have a venue who their most recent booking was November 2024. So there's still time for these other dates. And I think if you post about it, you can increase those odds and reach people who are starting to think about having a short-term wedding and seeing the benefits of it. That could be its own post too. Why should you consider getting married the same year you're getting engaged? And then you put those benefits, and then at the end of the benefits, you put 2 or 3 of the 2024 dates that you have available. What I really want you to think about with your social media is allowing it to be an extension of your sales. And so when you are guiding somebody through a sales call or a tour, how can you apply that similar guidance on social media? Because we really want to use social media to get your audience familiar with what you do and to get you some more qualified leads rather than somebody who is just going to a listing, right? And kind of just copying, pasting everyone on the listing to get some price quotes. Doing that on social media takes a little more effort, and you tend to get somebody's inquiring on social media. That means they had to search for you on social media, have you come up on your feed. They had to decide to leave social media to go to your website, and then they had to decide to fill out your contact form. So that's why I say a social media lead can be a little more qualified, because if you're getting somebody out of their scroll, that's just such a huge, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So we want to get stuff that's going to take people out of their scroll. And by using stuff that's coming up in real sales calls, we are able to really speak to an audience. Now, of course, you can kind of think about what kind of sales calls do you want? What are the ones that went really well and that you want to duplicate? So I had somebody say, well, we want more big weddings. And so, well, now we need to know what is your capacity? What do those big weddings look like? Do we talk about how you do them? Do we talk about why you do them well? Why your space is great for it? So that changed some marketing tactics where now we're going to put the number amount. We're going to say it's 200, 250, 300, whatever your capacity is. We're going to say why your event space works so well with it. I have a wedding venue that's in a really urban area where parking is a disaster. And it actually turns out that talking about something like valet is such a huge deal there. So talking about valet for them is it's this whole new hook. So you're saying, well, we can fit 250 people. They don't have to worry about parking. You don't have to worry about traffic and all these things that you can add in. So that's another thing to consider, is that some things that we just assume aren't a big deal, like, oh, well, you get to choose your color linen, we're like, yeah, whatever, it's just the napkins, they don't care. Well, maybe they do. So taking everything like it is an amenity and really believing it and really showcasing it to show your full package, whatever that package may be, because all of us in the wedding industry, we offer really personalized, custom, and valuable services. But since people only get married few times, some just once, some several times, some have never hosted an event before, some have event experiences, but on average, you're going to be working with people who have not hired a service like yours before. And if they have, it's been maybe under 5 times, right? So we have to do that education of why our service is important and why it's a value. I gave the example of the cake earlier, and a baker knows it's a value. A bride and groom may not know it's a value. So we want brides out there and grooms out there and couples and newlyweds to know what is so special about that. Why should I invest in a custom cake instead of just what I can get with my package? So those are the things you want to be thinking of. And when you have a sales call go well, you want to think about what went well about it and what aligned you guys. And then we want to kind of replicate it. We want to bring that in to your marketing so we can get you more of that. So now I'm going to go into our mailbag segment. If you have a question you'd like me to answer on the show about wedding industry marketing or your wedding business in specific, you can go to hello or email hello@idoweddingmarketing.com and put podcast question in the subject line and we will answer it. Today's question that I'm going to pull is one that came from Kevin in Connecticut, and I'm going to summarize it rather than read the whole thing because he gave me a bit of detail about what's going on. But he's corporate owned, the venue he's at, and they're really worried about their 2025 weddings. Is it too late to change pricing to incentivize 2025 weddings? And of course, you know me, no, it's never too late. All right. I was just on here saying we can still get 2024 weddings, right? But what we really want to focus on as you're going heavy on 2025, we want to get people in. And if you're already doing social media, Kevin, then I want you to look into where are you doing it and how frequently. If you've been doing it pretty steadily and you're on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, TikTok, let's say if you're just on Instagram and Facebook, I would say if you have vertical video content, to repurpose that to Pinterest and TikTok, because you already have the content there. So it's not going to take up as much time and it's not going to hurt to put it there. If you already have everything covered, I think that's when I would consider ads. I've had wedding industry ads on the show before. I had Whitney on last month, and in April, we're going to have Daniela on from Wedding Industry Ads, and they do Meta and Google ads for wedding professionals. So that's a route you can go. They have a Meta VIP day, and that could be a real quick way to kind of try to get some additional leads coming in. But really what I want you to consider is your value statements, how you're expressing the value of those dates and what you do, what kind of imagery and storytelling about the venue are you putting out, and kind of just make sure you're keeping that best foot forward and staying on top of mind. In addition to ads, you also consider looking into your Google and SEO rankings and your Google work, not even in a paid ad sense. You could look into that in a more organic way, to make sure that you have that search and support. I actually learned something new from Brian Lawrence today. He was talking about, Brian Lawrence is a Google and SEO expert for wedding professionals. He's been on the podcast, and he was talking about how the Knot can pay to rank, for all the wedding terms and names and everything. But what they can't do is come up in that local map search because they are not a local business. So for example, when you're typing in Queen's wedding photographer, only people with Queen's offices will come up in that maps section. So that is a great place to focus on, because competitors or listing sites can't monopolize those spots. They can't take those spots. Only local businesses can. So if you want more information on that, I would go over to Brian Lawrence at brianlawrence.com. But that was just my quick understanding of it that you can apply to make sure your business comes up on those local sites. Because as we know, with being in the wedding industry, it is all about the local audience, and that's who you want to be reaching. So thank you, Kevin. And once again, guys, if you want to send in your question, you can email it in to hello@idoweddingmarketing.com with podcast question in the subject line. So we are really busy at I Do Wedding Marketing, which is great, but I want to be getting some more stuff to you because we're getting pretty full for full service management. So I want to be able to offer some other things to you. So let me know if there's certain courses or offerings or packages that you would like that don't yet exist. Let me know, because I want to craft some things up. Right now, I'm just focusing on the podcast and our backlog of content for people, but I want to kind of broaden our horizons of what we're doing here at I Do. So if you have any recommendations, let me know. And if you have not yet reviewed the podcast, please do. It helps other wedding professionals to discover and hear our little underdog show. So if you want to give that a rating or review, it would mean a lot to me. But I will see you guys on the next Wedding Wednesday. Thank you for being here.